Hi, and welcome to Lockdown Economy, a series of interviews by the think tank AlterContact, where real entrepreneurs share their insights around the challenges of the pandemic to help reactivate the economy. My name is Peter Bell, and today my guests are Beth Hazon and Nicola Quinn, co-founders of the Do-Gooder Studio, a new strategy and creative agency aimed at helping drive change for brands and businesses who are motivated to do so. Hi both, how are you?
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us today.
No worries. So let's basically start with the first question. So let me ask for you to tell me a little bit more about your business.
Shall I jump in, Nick? So Do-Gooder are a strategy, creative and production agency. And like you've just touched upon there, the whole reason why we exist is we want to work with brands who are motivated to do better. It came about because Nick and I have lots of experience, and we really wanted to take all of our commercial experience and point it in a different direction. We truly believe in business to be a force for good, and about that responsibility that they hold. So that's our business, and that's why we exist. So we do lots of different things. We do production, from streaming events, filming, we do, behavioural change campaigns, we do strategic positioning, art direction. I'm sure Nick will jump in and tell me things that I've missed.
No, there's that long list. We've kind of split the business up into lab, studio and agency. So that insight piece is really important to us at the beginning when working on a project. So making sure that our recommendations and suggestions are based upon evidence and research. So we would start with that. If you have that kind of full life cycle of a project, going on to agency, where we have the brand communications and the engagement strategies, and then moving on to the studio with the kind of art direction, production, social, that kind of delivery on. So that's the kind of full life cycle, and we're really not bound by disciplines in the sense that some agencies have been in the past. Our backgrounds are really different, Beth and I, and we've kind of merged them together, but we have enough experience to know what specialisms to kind of pull on, and what we need to do to deliver that project. So we wouldn't really pigeonhole ourselves, and we've got very much kind of a cohort model where we bring people in to deliver. So yeah, that's kind of the model that we've been working on since we started, like about 8 months ago in June. So
yeah, it's amazing that you're one of the first businesses I've spoke to that have started during the pandemic, which just shows the opportunity that is available. But to kind of look into the specificities of the pandemic, how would you say it's affected your business as a whole?
I mean, it's why we exist today, really. I'm saying that because Beth and I, we were talking a while, we've been friends for a while, very sort of aligned values, similar interests, similar things that annoyed us and that we do differently. So we came together on that kind of that joint frustration, in a sense, of things where we saw stuff that we wouldn't have done and we knew that could be done better. So I think eventually we would have got there, we would have got together and it would have happened. It probably would have been a lot slower than the pandemic propelling us to do that. It was very much a sense of, there is, even from a personal career perspective, nothing is stable or secure right now, so let's take this leap. So there was that kind of personal motivation, definitely from my point. And then you saw what was going on societally and globally, and we were noticing that obviously it's a live event, the pandemic, it's happening now, research is going on about what's the impact on business and operations, but what we were seeing is that there was an immediate sort of stability with brands and businesses who had focused and invested on ESG strategies, so environmental, societal and governance. Those who'd prioritised that and invested in that actually performed better financially during those first few crisis months, really, when the pandemic hit and lockdown came in globally to some aspect across the globe. So we saw this, and we saw articles by sort of Mark Carney, for example, talking about how it's going to be, the markets are going to be made based on a society model rather than that kind of market model. And all of these signs and indications were saying this is actually going to, it validated what we wanted to do, and we thought this is the right thing to do now.
But also it was just after lockdown number 1. Yeah. And remember, we were being told it was going to be over and done with.
Yeah, totally.
By the end of the year.
Yeah.
So that's what we just thought, right, we've been talking about it for ages, let's just do it. And we did it. And I would say it's, like, personally and professionally, like, I think it's been the best thing we've ever done. I wonder now, with hindsight, if we would have got to this stage without the pandemic as the backdrop, because it opened things up for us. It's not about the hours that we've spent in different roles, traveling, flying to different places for business development meetings, invested in clients or having to go and visit people. It's not about that anymore. You don't have to have a big office and a flashy reception to be able to make that impression. We're all little boxes and little screens, and it's people are listening to what you're saying. And we also, it's not like we had a huge back catalogue of work that we could go out there and say, we've done this, this, this and this as do-gooder. Yeah, we had our reputations from previous roles, but the majority of the business that we've got is because people share in our beliefs in our model, which has been really refreshing.
Yeah, no, I think it's the pandemic has triggered so much innovation, so much like opportunity, and as you say, it's kind of for a lot of people, it's been seen as an opportunity to make that leap because, well, why not? Essentially, kind of looking more so at your customers and maybe competition, from your own knowledge of how do you believe they are doing at the moment, and what's your learnings from those guys?
I mean, in terms of our customers, we're just listening to our customers, and they're coming to us and they're telling us what's going on for them. A lot of them have been particularly cautious, especially in terms of costs, staff, like what's going to happen depending on what sector. And we do work with varied businesses. I think a lot of people think that we're just aligned with third sector, which, don't get me wrong, we have some fantastic third sector clients, but for us, some really interesting projects have come from big corporates that are invested in doing better or wanting our advice on how they can incorporate their kind of what you would call your CSR kind of policies without it coming across as like greenwashing, or because they understand that it needs to be a fundamental part of their business these days, especially in terms of new audiences. And so it's been interesting. In terms of our competitive, we try to not go there. We see everyone, there are other agencies that have, the ethical, the do-gooder vibe at their heart, and we just see them as strengthening the mission, don't we, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. We wouldn't really see those as competitors at all. I think the more agencies like us, the more people working in creative agencies like us, with that message, that ethical, that, to do good, to have a social conscience, to advise brands, I think that just strengthens our message and actually will ultimately help us achieve our goals personally and professionally. That's exactly what we want to achieve. And the more people doing it means that we'll actually do that. As we go, back to the whole, our kind of vision is we believe in the power of brands to change the world for good. And that's kind of what pushes us forward and motivates us. So we're not going to do that on our own. It's a collective effort. So we absolutely welcome and love to see other people come out doing the same kind of stuff as us. And another kind of element to really listening to the customers and to people, and I mentioned the research element of what we do personally and how much we value that. So we actually went out to Newcastle University to their ethical marketing and consumer behaviour academics, and they have built a piece of research for us, a framework. So it's a bespoke framework to do-gooder that has looked at how consumer behaviours and mindsets have changed during adverse conditions, so during the stages of change. So that's it's ongoing, and it's kind of a working framework in the sense that we're still in the pandemic, and that's going to be kind of iterating and ever changing, but it's something that we have that's ours, that we can actually base our recommendations and inform our engagement strategies on this piece of research that we've made, and that, you know, that's something that will always be at the heart of what we do. So it's just to be really in tune with what's going on.
Yeah, no, I think it's like creating positive partnerships is going to be key going forward, and you know, as well as the work that you're doing with kind of Newcastle University, what would you say you're focused on maybe now and the next 2 to 3 months going forward?
Well, we are focusing on becoming B Corp pending. We're not old enough to go full B Corp, but they have a startup program, so we're currently in that, and that's something that we're really, really passionate about, because that's ultimately where we want to be.
Yeah.
You know, I think B Corp just stand and we just chime in all of our beliefs, so that's key. What are our other 2 things, Nick?
Our other 2 things. What are we doing now? So yeah, things have been super busy actually, and really amazing stuff. So we've got, you know, live projects that we're working on, so that we're so excited about. We've got stuff in the pipeline that will be coming online hopefully in the next sort of month or so. So that'll be keeping us busy, and we're on an innovation program to help us grow. And yeah, I think that's, yeah.
I think one of the things that we're very keen on, our name is Do-Gooder, and I think if you haven't engaged with us before, or you've never seen any of our work, or you've never met Nick or I, or been on our website, we're very aware of the assumption that can come from that. That is the reason why we are called Do-Gooder. We wanted to own it. I mean, we thought it was funny. Like, that's where it came from. So if you're going to get thrown that insult, just own it anyway. Like, that's what it's about. But sometimes when you have that and you use the words ethical, you can get pigeonholed into people thinking like, oh, you know what, they might just be on that mission, but their work might not be that good, or it might look a certain way. And that's not what we're about. If anything, a mission for us over the next 2 to 3 months is really challenging that assumption, because our work is beautiful and is hugely commercial. And I think that is what we're both passionate about.
No, I've seen a lot of your work, and like, it's amazing. I've got to say, it's beautiful. Kind of, yeah. It's sorry, just it's really nice. Looking at specifically some of the challenges that you've faced during your start, kind of, what would you say would maybe be the top 3 things that you've like have been your key challenges, or things that you look to get help for going forward?
I think a key challenge, what we've realised, is it's very easy to run other people's businesses and pretty tricky to run your own. You know, you can have that objectivity when it's someone else's, because you can be emotionally attached to it, but it's like not yours. Whereas when it's yours, you know, it's really, really full on. It's like our baby. So that's been a really interesting journey for us. I think the legalities of setting up companies and things like shareholders agreements, those internal things that no one really tells you about, and then you're like, oh, we really need to do them, and that feeling like a bit of a dark art. That's one of those things, yeah. That I think has been quite tricky, like really wearing a million hats at once, delivering, being the accountant, you know, chasing all of these things, new business, marketing and sales.
Well, that's the thing, you know, that's our bread and butter. But when it comes to actually, like, you're at the coalface delivering and doing all of the different aspects of the business, and then you haven't posted something on social for a week, which we would, you know, advise against, like, to our clients, and you end up doing it because, I mean, it is me and Beth in the business at the moment, so we are wearing all of those hats. So it's just that pressure, and we've never run a business before. So as much as we know our craft and know our vision and where we're going and believe in ourselves and our experience, it's like, it's the actual nitty gritty of running a business. And, you know, also we both have 4-year-olds, and they're at home quite a bit, and that whole juggle of that as well. So that's, yeah, it's all of those things. It is still a pandemic. It isn't, we don't have that kind of, that normal kind of, I hate the word normal, but that kind of the routine of life where you could go out and, you know, meet each other and have dinner and sort of, you know, do all of those things that were kind of nice to do and to take the pressure off. It is very kind of full on. I think that is the challenge. I think everything's compounded in the time of a pandemic. So yeah.
No, I think, like, as I say, it's a very challenging period. We ourselves, we've got a 10-month-old baby, so it's kind of juggling with everything else. It's amazing, but it's challenging. And as, you know, your analogy about wearing a multitude of hats, it's very true to life, and I think that's kind of ultimately where a lot of people are at the moment. But there's, you know, like, there's great opportunity as well in the way that people are kind of collaborating and changing their business models to be a lot more agile as well. So it's it's an interesting time, but challenging time. I'd just like to finish by saying thank you very much for your time. To anybody watching this video, there'll be more information shared below on the do-gooders business, and equally I'd encourage people to kind of like, share and subscribe to our various different channels, because likewise to this video there'll be a lot of other interesting ones that I encourage you guys to take a look at. But thank you very much for your time, guys, and yeah, good luck going ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.